In the bustling streets of Lagos, a struggling graduate named Margaret, burdened with caring for her ill mother, extends kindness to a stranger unable to afford a bus ticket. Little does she know, this act of compassion will intertwine her fate with Mark Eric, the heir to a real estate empire grappling with his own dreams. Their chance encounter sparks a journey of friendship, trust, and unexpected opportunities that transform their lives. Who is this mysterious stranger, and what destiny awaits them? Dive into this compelling tale of kindness and life-changing connections. It was an ordinary Monday morning in the bustling city of Lagos. The sky spread out in soft gray hues above the cityscape, and for the 25th floor of the gleaming high-tower suites, David sat in his opulent office with glass walls offering a view of the metropolis. Every detail in his office exuded affluence. Polished marble floors, a modern espresso machine, tall glass bookshelves, and a striking artwork behind his elegant desk. David took slow sips from a tall white mug filled with black coffee, unsweetened, just as he preferred. His tailored navy suit fit his tall frame perfectly, with a gold pin on his collar catching the morning sunlight. He set the mug down carefully and pressed the intercom button. "Rita, pull up the investor pitch files and remind me of the meeting time," he said. Moments later, his assistant entered, holding a tablet, dressed neatly, and moving briskly. "Sir, the investor meeting, originally set for noon, is now at 3 p.m. due to Mr. Emiliano's flight delay," she informed him. David nodded. "Very well, thank you," he replied. She exited, and he leaned back, slightly loosening his tie. The meeting was just a block away at Javor Cafe, a sophisticated business-oriented coffee shop, close enough for a walk, no driver needed. He decided to stroll there to clear his mind. By 2:30 p.m., he organized his documents into a sleek leather briefcase, added his ATM cards and some cash, and headed out. The elevator chimed, and security offered a crisp salute as he passed. In just 2 minutes, he was walking the streets of Victoria Island, striding confidently toward the cafe. Unbeknownst to him, destiny was about to intervene. As David walked along the pavement, blending in enough to avoid notice but still catching a few glances, he spotted something odd. A few steps ahead, amid the usual pedestrian flow, a scrawny, unkempt golden retriever sat motionless on the sidewalk, neither begging nor barking, just gazing at David with deep, hollow eyes. David slowed his pace, frowning. The dog appeared starved, its matted fur discolored, ribs protruding through its thin skin. Yet, its eyes held a desperate plea, as if it had been waiting for him. He muttered softly, "Poor creature, Lagos can break anyone." He continued past, but the dog's stare followed him. 10 steps later, he felt a pull. David stopped, looking down. The dog's teeth were clamped onto his briefcase handle. "What in the world?" he exclaimed. He tugged. The dog held firm. David pulled harder. "Hey, let go." Onlookers paused, one woman gasping. "Is that dog pulling a suited man's briefcase?" David tried to shoo the dog away, yelling, snapping his fingers and stomping, but it wouldn't relent. It didn't bark. It was determined, like a soldier on a mission. Suddenly, with a forceful tug, the dog yanked the briefcase free from David's grip and dashed off. "Hey, get back here!" David shouted, chasing after it instinctively, in his suit and pricey shoes, breathing heavily. The briefcase held his files, cash, and cards. Nothing else mattered. The dog sprinted with purpose, weaving from the main road to a side street, through a dusty alley, across a drainage ditch, and into the shadows of an unfinished building behind a broken fence. David halted at the entrance, panting. The structure looked like a war-torn ruin. No windows, no gate, cracked floors and walls. His polished shoes were now dusty, his shirt sticking to his sweaty chest. He inhaled deeply and stepped inside, and that's when he saw her. In a distant corner, on the dusty floor next to a pile of broken bricks, lay a motionless little girl. Her hair was tangled and dusty, her clothes tattered, her bare feet dry and cracked. Her body didn't resemble a child's. Hunger seemed to have eroded her frame. She appeared almost lifeless, and beside her, The dog gently placed the briefcase down and barked, not at David or passers-by, but at her. David stood rooted, staring. The dog nudged her arm with its nose, repeatedly, but she didn't stir. David's throat tightened. The air grew heavy. His hand shook as he grabbed his phone. "Rita, cancel the meeting. I'm sending my location. Tell the driver to come here now. Emergency, life or death." The girl remained still. The dog sat beside her, watchful. 10 minutes later, David's SUV arrived at the building's front. His driver rushed in, stunned. "Sir, what's going on?" David didn't reply. He knelt and carefully lifted the girl. She felt as light as folded fabric. The dog followed them out, eyes fixed. The hospital drive felt eternal. David kept checking her chest for breaths. At the hospital, they rushed her inside, but when staff tried to stop the dog from following, it became ferocious, growling and barking, refusing to leave her side. David yelled, "Stop! Don't touch that dog. He led me to her. Without him, she'd be gone. Let him stay." The hospital reluctantly complied. The dog sat by her bed, vigilant. That night, David stood alone in the hospital corridor, phone to his ear. "Mama," he said quietly, his voice trembling. "My son, what's wrong?" "Did you lose a deal?" his mother asked. "No, Mama," David answered. He recounted everything. The dog, the girl, the building, her frail appearance. After a pause, Mama spoke softly. "Remember the man who helped us, paid your school fees, changed our lives? Perhaps this is your chance to give back what life gave you." David exhaled heavily. He recalled the kind stranger who bought corn from his mother's stall, enabling his success. He didn't sleep that night. His thoughts lingered in the hospital room, on the girl and her loyal dog. Questions swirled. Where were her parents? Why was she alone in that dreadful place? What was her story? The next morning, before dawn, David dressed and returned to the hospital. His eyes were weary, but his mind was alert. He entered the room. The dog was still there, poised like a guard. At the creak of the door, it stood, eyes sharp, but recognizing David, it wagged its tail and sat. David approached the girl. She hadn't moved, but her breathing was steadier. He went to the nurse's station. "Doctor, why isn't she awake?" The doctor shook his head. "She's severely malnourished. Her body's recovering. It needs time, but she's stable." David nodded. But even as he returned to his office, in his usual suit amid luxury, his thoughts stayed with the girl and her protector. He barely sipped his coffee that day. At 2:05 p.m., his phone rang. "Sir, she's awake." David raced through the hospital corridors, suit unbuttoned, tie dangling, one shoe loose, dodging puzzled nurses. "The little girl's awake," they'd said. His heart pounded. Something about her drew him irresistibly. He burst into the ward and stopped. There she was, propped up on the bed, elbow bandaged, lips cracked, hair messy, but smiling. Not at him, at her dog, Jack. She teased his nose with the hospital remote. He sneezed playfully, tail wagging wildly. Jack noticed David first and growled. The girl looked up quickly. "Who are you?" she asked, eyes narrowed with suspicion. David spoke, gently. "I'm David. I found you unconscious." She blinked twice. "So, you're not a kidnapper?" David laughed. "Not at all." She glanced to Jack. "Jack didn't bite you?" "No. He's been guarding you like a soldier." She scratched her head. "Okay, thanks, David. I'm Naomi, and this is Jack. He doesn't trust strangers." David smiled. "Got it." He pulled up a chair. "Naomi, do you have family we can contact?" She shook her head. "They're all gone." David frowned. "Extended family? Aunts, cousins?" She looked away. "Nobody wants me." Silence fell. David rubbed his chin, then sighed. "Would you stay with me for a bit, until we sort things out?" Naomi eyed him like a wary tenant. "Are you a bad person?" David chuckled. "I don't think so. You won't take Jack?" He gestured at Jack. "That guy? He's glued to you like you owe him money. I'm not touching him." Naomi nodded slowly. "Okay." She squinted. "Do you have a wife?" David hesitated. "No." She tilted her head. "How will you care for me then?" David laughed heartily. "I have staff to help at home." She nodded, then asked seriously, "Do you have a big TV?" David blinked. "Yes. Lots of food. Jack and I have been fasting, not by choice." David clutched his chest. laughing. Yes, Naomi, plenty of food. That afternoon, David brought her home. The mansion gates opened as the car entered. The staff stood in the hallway, puzzled. Who was this child with a dog trailing her like a bodyguard? Naomi stepped out carefully, holding Jack's leash regally. She gazed at the house and whispered, "Jack, we've arrived." She was shown to a guest room. Jack followed like a shadow. She bathed and emerged in fresh floral clothes, her small frame dwarfed by a cartoon-themed top and leggings bought by the staff. David invited her to lunch. Naomi descended the marble stairs like royalty, Jack at her side. The staff were astonished. She sat at the dining table, poised, and fed Jack under it. "Jack doesn't like spicy food," she told the cook. "No stew for him." David watched from the other end, smiling quietly. After eating, Naomi crossed her arms. "Uncle David, you won't kick me and Jack out, right? We love our room." David laughed, leaning on his hand. "You're staying put." Naomi smiled. That evening, she tried mopping the floor after seeing the maids clean. "If I don't work, I don't eat," she said. David caught her. "Drop that mop before I get sick." Days later, Mama David arrived like a storm. "David, open this gate or I'll tear it down." She swept into the compound, wrapper fluttering, one hand pulling a large box, the other clutching her purse like it held state secrets. David hurried out. "Mama, I thought you were coming next week." "Next week? Next year. I've been restless since you told me about this girl. You think I'd stay home when my son found a daughter sent by heaven?" She brushed past him, scanning the living room. "Where's she? Where's Naomi and my son-in-law Jack?" Naomi peeked from the stairs. "Mama," she said, beaming. Jack bolted from behind the couch, tail wagging frantically. Mama David gasped, dropped her bag, and hugged Naomi like a long-lost child. "My girl, you're prettier than David's pictures. Look at your skin, your cheeks. Even the dog loves me. Jack, come hug Grandma." Jack licked her feet and sat beside her like hired security. David shook his head. "Mama, a little calm won't hurt." "Calm? Who wants that?" she snapped, glaring. "This girl is my grandchild now, and Jack too. Anyone who touches them will face trouble." She turned to Naomi. "Do you like vegetable or egusi soup?" Naomi grinned. "Both are fine. I brought ingredients. We'll cook until you forget hunger." "Mama, slow down. She's still recovering," David said. Mama David scoffed. "Be quiet, you who won't marry. Tell me you want to stay single so I can rest. With all your wealth, no wife." "Mama, I'll marry when it's time. I have a fiancé I like, and we're—" "That Natasha? She's a vulture," Mama David spat. Naomi blinked. "What's a vulture?" Mama David clapped. "A cruel, greedy person posing as a girlfriend. Her eyes gleam like headlights. Our spirits don't align." David rolled his eyes. "Mama, stop calling my fiancé a vulture. She's nice. You don't know her. My son, an elder sees what a child can't, even atop Everest. You'll see. She's a vulture and a snake." Mama David took Naomi upstairs to unpack her gifts. They chatted, laughed, and bonded instantly like old friends. From then, Naomi and Mama David were inseparable. They cooked, watched African magic, debated pepper quantities, and Jack trailed them like a guard. Once, Naomi tried sweeping the kitchen. Mama David yelled, "Touch that broom again, and I'll spank you with it. You're my granddaughter, not a maid." Naomi saluted, laughing, and ran off. Jack barked and followed. They watched cartoons, shared snacks, and bickered over the last chicken wing at dinner. David observed quietly, his heart stirring. One evening, David called Naomi aside. "Naomi, can I ask something?" She nodded, chewing a biscuit. "What happened to your parents?" Naomi's smile faded. "My mom and dad died in a car crash. They left everything to my uncle, Emma Evans. After their funeral, Uncle Joe moved into our house with his family, saying he was now in charge since Dad was gone. At first, they were kind to me and Jack, but then Uncle Joe fired my nanny and maids and asked me to sign a big paper. I refused. I feared he'd sell me and Jack to kidnappers. My nanny warned me not to sign anything, so I didn't. Then Uncle Joe and his wife started mistreating me, making me do chores and kicking Jack out at night to starve. I was heartbroken. Jack's a pampered prince like me. We don't thrive in hardship. My uncle stopped my school fees, saying sign the paper or quit school. Then they stopped feeding us. Eventually, he threw us out, calling me a useless burden. He hit me, locked me out. I fled. David froze. Emma Evans, he murmured. The name sparked a memory. A kind man from his youth who paid his school fees, gave his mother money for months, then vanished. David stood abruptly and went to his study, dialing his phone. Hello, he told his private investigator. Looking to someone urgently. Emma Evans. Check his past, the car crash that killed him, his business, his family, and his brother. That man seemed suspicious. A month had passed since Naomi moved into David's home. She'd fully recovered, and Jack looked like the king of pampered pets. Naomi and Jack were the mansion's heart. The maids loved her, and Mama David had claimed them as her grandchildren. No arguments allowed. Most evenings, they gathered in the living room, watching TV, with Mama David and Naomi laughing loudly and critiquing like film experts. That's not me, Mama David shouted one night, pointing at the actress. I drag that boy like a stubborn goat and make pepper soup with him. Naomi laughed, and Jack barked in approval, tail wagging, then rested his head on Mama David's lap like a retired landlord. David sat nearby, quietly enjoying their antics. Their presence made his house a home. Mama, don't you tire of yelling at the TV? David asked one evening. Sleep well, she retorted, eyeing him, so you'll be healthy for more grandchildren. You're always on your phone. Didn't you see my WhatsApp? A Russian doctor said phones cause cancer. David laughed. Okay, Mama. He cherished his mother, who'd endured hardships to raise him. Since Naomi and Jack arrived, he came home earlier, took days off, and spent more time with them. Their happiness was infectious. One evening, Mama David entered his room like she owned it. My son, what's your plan for Naomi? She's home all day watching cartoons. Her brain will rust. She needs school. David sighed. Mama, I'm waiting for the investigator's report to confirm her story. No waiting, Mama David snapped. She needs school. I trust her. The Holy Spirit confirmed her story in my dream. David raised an eyebrow. Mama, since when is the Holy Spirit your roommate? Doesn't matter, she barked. Enroll her now. David chuckled. Fine, Mom. I'll have Ada take her to a good primary school next week. I'm traveling for business. No maid will enroll my granddaughter. I'll do it myself to check her teachers and classmates. No nonsense learning. All right, Mama. David laughed as she stormed out. The next week, Mama David took Naomi and Jack to schools, rejecting 5 like a property buyer. This gate's too high. Kids aren't prisoners. Dull paint. Naomi's brain won't dull too. That teacher frowns like he's in debt. How will kids be happy? The principal looks shady. No growth here. She finally found a school that felt right, smiling like a satisfied landlord, and marched to the principal's office. Sir, see this girl. Her destiny shuns stress. No heavy homework. If anything happens, call me. If she's bullied, I'll bring the press and raise this school. Naomi was enrolled, but when she joined her class, Jack refused to leave, barking and sitting by her side like a guard. Even Mama David was stunned. Teachers gathered to watch. It took an hour for Naomi to coax Jack to go home with Mama David. In the SUV, Mama David eyed the dog. Are you sure you're not human? If my son was this loyal, I'd have less gray hair. Days later, David got an email from his investigator. He opened it and froze. Photos of Naomi's father appeared, and he recognized him instantly. The man who bought corn from his mother, paid his school fees, and funded his education through university. He stared at a family portrait with baby Naomi and Jack. His heart raced. He shouted, Mama, come see. Mama David rushed in. What? Who died? David showed her the photo. Her eyes widened. It's him. The man who paid your fees, gave us hope. David sat back, stunned. I owe my life to her father. Mama David declared, Naomi's your daughter now. Marry that vulture girlfriend and lose her, and I'll disown you. From then, Mama David pampered Naomi more, taking her to markets, gossiping like friends. In the kitchen, she taught her cooking. Naomi, learn to cook. You can't eat fish without cutting pepper. Naomi giggled. Mama, this is tasty. Jack sat by the door, waiting for his share. When Naomi got meat, Jack did too. At dinner, They laughed and shared stories. Naomi spoke of school. Elijah stole my pen. I set his brains offline. Mama David dropped her spoon. Next time, uppercut him. Make him repeat primary 4. David coughed. Mama, no violence. I'm teaching her street survival. David watched, heart full. That night, Natasha called. Baby, you're distant. Another woman. David sighed. Work's busy, and there's the girl. Naomi and her dog. She's why you ignore me. David laughed. Come over. Meet Naomi and Jack. Mama's here. Bad idea, she said quickly. Your mom hates me. I don't want to be pepper soup. David chuckled, unaware of the brewing drama. Natasha was planning a visit, and she wasn't coming to smile. Weeks after Naomi started school and settled in, one evening in the living room, Mama David announced, Naomi, my bones ache. I'm going home. Before Madame Chanel steals my market customers. Naomi froze. Mama, you're leaving? Her voice broke, and tears fell as she hugged Mama David tightly. Don't worry, child, Mama David soothed. I'll visit often, and during holidays, you'll come mess up my house. Stay here. Focus on school. Don't end up selling corn like me. Education's your power. Jack, sensing the sadness, slumped by the door, whining softly. The next morning, Mama David cooked soups, stews, and jollof rice, packing them like war rations. She gave strict orders. If Naomi or Jack misses a meal, I'll haunt your dreams. She took Naomi to school, hugging her at the gate as Naomi cried before joining her classmates. When Naomi returned and didn't see Mama David, she was devastated, skipping lunch and retreating to her room with Jack. They lay in bed, clinging like abandoned orphans. That evening, neither ate. When David came home, Ida reported Naomi's seclusion. Is she ill? No, Olga. She and Jack miss Mama, Ida said. David knocked on Naomi's door. She opened, eyes swollen from crying. His heart broke. Naomi, you haven't eaten, and Jack too? You miss Mama that much? She nodded. I miss her too, but you must eat to stay healthy, or Mama will think I'm starving you. Save me from her scolding. Naomi smiled slightly. Come downstairs. I'll feed you and Jack myself. No weight loss allowed. After, we'll get ice cream nearby. Naomi's eyes sparkled. Ramsiatu, Uncle David? Anything you want, just eat. Naomi followed, insisting David spoon-feed her and Jack. You're too spoiled, he teased. Mama spoiled you and this lazy dog. Expect this daily. If you don't feed me, I'll call Mama, Naomi warned. Okay, no Mama. Her tongue's too sharp. David spent more time with Naomi, taking her to movies, parks, and shopping, with Jack as their guard. They dined together, sometimes with David feeding them like royalty. Naomi and Jack were happy. The house was alive. But Natasha wasn't. In her David-funded apartment, she fumed with jealousy. She'd seen them at the grocery store, David doting on Naomi and Jack, treating her like a princess, following her like a servant. She was enraged. How could he treat a street kid like his own? She called her friend Lisa, venting about Naomi and Jack. Really, Lisa said, get that girl out before she takes everything. Get pregnant, secure your place, then remove her and that dog. But David and his mom adore her, Natasha said. Go stay with him, get pregnant, and make the girl's life miserable until she leaves, Lisa advised. Thanks, I'm going this weekend to deal with that pest, Natasha grinned, plotting. Meanwhile, Naomi and Jack enjoyed pizza and ice cream, watching cartoons, unaware of Natasha's schemes. 1. Peaceful Friday evening, Naomi and Jack were on the couch, laughing at cartoons. The house smelled of fresh stew, calm and cozy. Ida and the maids, done with chores, chatted in the kitchen about Nollywood drama. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed. Ida, a loud, familiar voice called. Everyone froze, even flies paused. Except for Naomi and Jack. All knew it was Natasha, trouble incarnate. Ida blinked. She's here, a maid whispered, gripping her mop. Natasha strode into the living room like a villain in a movie climax, wig bouncing, sunglasses on despite the night. She scanned the room like an inspector and zeroed in on Naomi and Jack. She approached, heels clicking ominously. So, you're Naomi, she sneered, turning my man into your servant. Jack leapt up. barking loudly, eyes locked on Natasha like a predator. She muttered, "That dog needs manners," then forced a smile and headed upstairs, dragging a huge bag like a guilty secret. The maids whispered, "Weekend visit? That bag's bigger than my pay." I pity Naomi and Jack. Another sighed. That evening, David returned, thrilled to see Natasha. "Baby, you came." He hugged her. "Anything for you," she cooed. He introduced them. "Naomi, meet Natasha. Natasha, meet Naomi, my daughter." Naomi greeted politely. Jack stayed close, eyeing Natasha. "Nice to meet you," Natasha said with a fake smile. David missed it, but Naomi and Jack didn't. The next morning, David got an urgent call to fly to Abuja for a few days. "Take care of Naomi and Jack," he told Natasha. "Of course, love," she smiled, but once he left, her smile vanished. She locked the door, faced Naomi and Jack, arms crossed. "Let's be clear," she said. "This isn't your home. You're a charity case. You and that mangy dog." Jack growled, "No more couch. You eat in the hall, and stop calling my man Uncle David. He's mine." Naomi froze. Natasha locked the kitchen, taking the fridge key. Naomi's world collapsed. Natasha's cruelty unleashed. She gave Naomi one meal daily, none for Jack, forcing Naomi to sneak him scraps. She made Naomi wash her clothes, even underwear. Once, she caught Jack in Naomi's room and exploded. "That much? No food today, and clean the toilet." Naomi obeyed silently, preferring this to the streets. Natasha stopped Naomi's school. "Pop her at that fancy school," she mocked. David had sent school fees. Natasha spent on a wig, posting, "God is good. #love, #marriage, #family." The school tried contacting Mama David, but her number failed. They emailed David. Natasha deleted them. Naomi stayed quiet. Ida, witnessing this, approached David one evening. "Olga, something's wrong here," she whispered. David frowned. "What's that?" She hesitated. "Just watch Naomi and Jack closely." David dismissed it, but days later, Ida insisted. "Olga, I can't stay silent. Do something." David's attention sharpened. He set down his briefcase. "Ida, what's happening? What are you hinting at?" "Olga, I can't say much." "Why not?" David pressed, brow raised. "Aren't you the head maid? Speak if something's wrong." She nodded. "Check the CCTV, Olga." That night, David sat in his study, staring at the CCTV screen. He rewound, skipped, clicked through clips. His hand fell from the mouse, his body tensed. His face, lit by the monitor, shifted, his lips parted, heart breaking, and he whispered, "What have I done? This isn't the end." Stay tuned for the next episode. Bye for now.